Hi guys, welcome back to Debbie J's Crafting Corner. I'm Debbie and I'd like to welcome you to the grads of Team Tiny Winter Hop. Team Tiny is a group of small craft channels that have gotten together to help each other reach that first big milestone, 1,000 subscribers. When you pass that milestone, you're able to join the grads of Team Tiny Facebook group and join in many of their hops. This month's hop theme is winter and I'm pulling something different out for you today. This video was recorded about a year ago when I was creating something for a swap that I was in. And I think these winter themed pouches would be perfect to hold some holiday goodies. Let me know what you think of this fun project. You probably have most of the supplies that we'll need for today's project in your stash. I'm starting off with a 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper from a holiday paper pack. Unfortunately, I don't remember which pack this came from. I really like that snowman though, so I want him to be on the front of the pouch, which means that I'll create a smallest pouch by cutting the sheet in half at 6 inches with my Swingline 12-inch paper trimmer. Then I'm cutting it down to 9.5 inches on the long end, making sure that I have that snowman right where I want him. You probably noticed that I'm cutting both of these 6-inch wide pieces. The other piece is going to be used for the pouch, while the snowman piece I'm going to be using for the focal image of my pouch. Next, we're going to do some scoring. We're going to score at 4 inches and at 8.25 inches on that pouch piece. Now, you notice that I did something on this one that I am going to suggest that you don't do. When you're doing your scoring, score with the pretty side down. That way the score piece, that indent, is going to be on the outside and you'll have a less of a chance of that piece cracking. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut down that snowman. I need him to just fit on the front of my pouch, you know, that 4 by 6 inch piece that we just scored. So I'm going to cut this to be just a little bit smaller. I need to adhere them down. Since I want this to be a durable piece of paper and pretty much waterproof, I'm using Mod Podge for all of the adhesive this time. So I'm covering the back very liberally with that Mod Podge, using a little Mod Podge brush. And the Mod Podge I bought, I believe I got it at the Dollar Tree. Believe it or not, they have those small bottles there, and Mod Podge is usually a little expensive, so I felt like I lucked out. Now I'm going to go ahead and position him on the front flap of that of my little pouch there. And then I'm putting a little more of that adhesive down because I didn't feel like I was having it stuck down quite enough. Next, I'm going to cover the entire front, that entire pretty side of that panel completely with Mod Podge, and I'm going to put it on pretty thick. Now what this coating is going to do, it's going to make the paper be pretty much water resistant. Not necessarily waterproof, but water resistant, and it's going to be a lot more durable than regular paper, meaning it's not going to rip or tear nearly as easily. It also, in my mind, it seemed like it kind of rubberized it a little bit, so it's a little bit more flexible. Then I had to set it aside to dry. Once that's dried, I'm using the corner rounder to go ahead and just round the corners on what's going to be the closing flap. And I'm using my corner chomper for that from We Are Memory Keepers and using the 1-inch side, so it's a nice little round. Then I am taking a scrap piece of paper and cutting what's going to be a couple of little gussets for the pouch. I'm wanting it to be able to open a little bit more than just a flat envelope, so I can put more things in there if I choose to. So I'm cutting these pieces down to 2 by, actually there's 2 pieces, and I'm cutting them down to 3 by 2 3/4. As an afterthought, I'm thinking that it might be actually even better if you make them a little longer. So instead of the 2 3/4 inches, you could go all the way up to 4, since that's the height of our pouch. Now I'm going to go ahead and score on that 3-inch side at every 1/2 inch. So that's at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, 2, and 2.5 inches, and I'm doing that on both of those pieces. Like I said, we're needing 2 gussets. This is going to be one for each side of our little pouch. Then we're just going to go ahead and accordion fold all those pieces of paper. So we're going to have hills and valleys on our little gusset piece, and we're going to do that on both of those pieces. Go ahead and adhere the gussets to the pouch. For this pouch, I'm using some liquid adhesive, just my standard art glitter glue, because it is pretty strong, but you could also use some double-sided tape for that. So I folded everything down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of that art glitter glue to the outer edge of one of the gussets. Now, when I adhered it down, I wanted to make sure that the mountain was towards the outside, so that's how I'm positioning it, and I'm positioning it all the way to the end. Now, what this is going to do is going to create that nice little gusset there, but there also is that little bit of a gap between the bottom of the gusset and the bottom of the pouch, which is why I think going up to 4 inches may be a good option if you want to store any kind of small items that might fall out. Now I'm doing the exact same thing with the other gusset and putting it on the other side of the pouch. We're going to put some adhesive on the other part of that gusset, the other end of it. So we're going to go ahead and add adhesive to both of the gussets, and then we're going to fold our pouch shut. That way we've got everything lined up, and it's going to go right in exactly the right space. You may have to fold your little gussets down so that they are flat to make it a little easier to position. So you go ahead and do that. If you're using liquid glue, you may want to use some binder clips to hold them in place so that it has time to dry. Art glitter glue does glue pretty quick, so that's good, but it still does take a little bit of time to adhere. Now that the pouch is assembled, we're going to go on and work on the fun part, adhering these plastic snaps. Now, to determine where to put the snap, you'll want to close the pouch and then poke a hole through the flap about 1/2 of an inch from the edge at the midpoint. You also want to poke through that first layer of cardstock underneath it, so you've got a place for both pieces. Now for the really cool part, at least it was for me because I'd never used these before. This plastic snap kit I picked up at Amazon, and I'm leaving a link down below in case you're interested in it. And you're going to need actually 4 pieces to create these snaps. You'll need 2 caps, that's the part with the pointy end. You'll need a socket, and you'll need a stud. So first I put the point of one of the caps through that little hole from the outside that I poked through the flap. The cap should then show when the flap is closed. Then I took the socket piece and placed it on the inside of the flap, with the flat side of that piece towards the paper and the point of the cap going through the hole. Next, we're going to take the pliers that come with the kit to set the snap. The cap goes on the black part and the socket goes on the clear plastic part. Then you just gently squeeze, and this should set the first part of your snap. Now we're going to do the same thing on the inside. We put the cap through from the inside out, so the flat part's going to be on the inside. Then you place the stud with the flat side towards the paper over that point in the cap and set that one just like you did the other. Now don't worry, you can watch that piece as many times as you need to, and I'm going to leave some detailed instructions, and I'm going to try to find some good pictures on my blog so you'll be able to see that. Next, we're just going to do a little bit of embellishing on this. I decided to use this excuse me, this ribbon that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. This is some light turquoise iridescent fringe ribbon, and I'll leave a link to that down below, as well as the other products that I'm using today. And I'm adhering this onto that flap with some EK6000. Now, the reason I'm not using regular glue for this is because this part is now not exactly a paper surface anymore, because we added all of that Mod Podge on the front. So I'm wanting this to stay well, and then I went ahead and let it dry for a bit. as you can tell, I made a couple of these and I'm thinking of making some more. I mean, but what would I use them for? What would you use them for? I would love to know, so drop me a comment down below. And if you make one of these, I would love to see it, so come join my Facebook group, Crafting with Debbie, and show us your creations. I've left a link to that also down in the description below. Be sure to check out all the other crafters in this haul because I know they will have a lot of inspirational projects for you to see. And by the way, if you create anything using any of the ideas from one of my Christmas crafting videos, please be sure to post a picture on social media and tag me at hashtag Debbie J's Crafting Corner and at hashtag DJCC Christmas 2020. You can also see all of my Christmas crafting videos for 2020 by clicking on hashtag DJCC Christmas 2020 down in the video title. Forgot to mention, to get to the rest of the hop, click on that hashtag Grads of Team Tiny Winter down in the description to get to the rest of the videos. Here are some other videos that you may be interested in. Thank you so much for dropping by, and remember, if I can make it, you can too.